guide during this process. You will live and you will thrive and you will be better. Because the reason for this is that you learn best when you learn not just from me, but you learn from each other and actually learn from doing and doing together. Right? So I know it's going to be uncomfortable-ish, but we will do it. All right? So 5 to 7 minutes starting now. Go. I like this work because I get to do quick work.
Tariq.
Yeah.
So it should be conversational, or it can be like a one drop statement.
It should combine these.
Analysis report, which I used to command.
Okay.
Then provide me with some information. But I still don't really get it how, from the point of view, how user will use this report. So I continue the conversation to ask the provider to be the user and how they will use this report. So they share me on the sales plan and more. After that, I see the testers, so I ask them to create the few test scenario for the sales analysis report.
Nice.
And since we need to develop the test automation, I straight away ask in the native language.
Oh, wow, nice.
So they provide me with some scenario. But when I go through with all this scenario, there are additional requirements needed by the stakeholders, which to group by the item. So I ask them to add another test scenario.
Wow.
So that's all.
Awesome. First of all, let's give a round of applause. Thank you very much. See that you survived, right? And you thrived in that, right? That was actually excellent. Because there's a lot of stuff there. Actually, like the next section, the next section that we're going to do, which is shaping the LLM. Because first we're talking about guiding. So that was a pretty good example of kind of utilizing those bars. Let's get one more person. Don't be intimidated. I mean, she did a great job. That doesn't mean that yours isn't great. But let's get one more person to come and plug in so that we can kind of see how else this was done. So don't make me choose someone again, please. All right, so who's it going to be? I'm just going to wait. All right, come on now. It's like pulling teeth in this place. It really is, right? It's okay. Don't worry. I'm going to change.
Maybe next time, just close your eyes and then.
Oh, at this point? No, I don't know. If I want to pick someone, I can pick someone. I have different ways of singling people out, which I keep secret. But I don't need to do that. Alright. There's no screen? Yeah? You get away with that? Do you have a USB-C port?
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Why?
I don't know why you're using my not working. I don't know. Something's wrong with your laptop. We'll try it again.
Okay, so I asked ChatGPT, say, like I'm a software test engineer and I want to become a test architect. Act as a solution architect to help me achieve becoming a test architect. He said like, oh, I'll be happy to guide you, and he gave very good points though, because I read them, and it tells you a lot that I still need to work a lot, right? So, and then yeah, so he gave technical skills, soft skills, a bunch of trainings that I need to do, and workshops I need to attend, which is this one. I attended yours. And then some.
So you're gonna go back and ask for promotion?
Let's see. And then some action plans. He gave me the short-term, long-term, and then I asked him like, how can you say? It was going to say that he was able to understand my typo. And
So
then
how
if
can you say that?
if I follow his plan, it will help me become a test architect, become a test architect, and then he once again back the skills, and then I asked him, how do you measure the success of this plan? And he's saying that measuring the success of this plan to become architect is both qualitative and quantitative skills.
So you should do certification.
Yeah, so he mentioned certifications, stuff like that. So I said like, I should have not asked to become a architect. There's a lot of stuff that I need to do, right? So, but yeah, so he gave me something, but I need to validate that.
Is it really that you aspire to become a test architect? Is that your goal? Or did you just make that?
No, that's fine.
Oh, well,
I don't know, but there's no test architect if you take a look at the role, but
there's no test. I used to be a test architect.
but you're a principal architect, right?
Well,
I'm considering that.
yeah, I was a test architect.
Yeah, but in Asia or somewhere, you don't, when you say like, hey, I want to go to this direction, it's kind of like limited from their point of view. Like, hey, you don't have that. Maybe you can either be a test manager or something. But if you go SDTV, you go in the technical or the management part. So I said like, you want to manage people or want to go to this.
There's a problem with those things where if you remember, I said this earlier. If you really start to let people put you in a box, then you will end up in a career that you don't really like.
Yeah.
So the path is not so delineated. Even if people got a little glimpse of some more things that we can do to shape. So I want us to kind of go through shaping. The others are quicker, and it actually helps us to culminate into how this works out for us to use this in software engineering or in general, any kind of software role, whether it be requirements engineering, design, development, testing, system configuration. It doesn't matter what you're doing. I've actually taught this course and the productivity course version of it with multiple roles being involved. All right. It's really helped me a lot. Was number one, we spent speed to which you can get an idea put into place is just tremendous. So sometimes I have a lightning talk that they want me to do at these conferences. I ask anyone. I'm totally unprepared initially. I usually leave this to the last minute because I'm a great procrastinator. And so literally sometimes I'd be at the front of the lightning talk queue lined up with Rob and some other people. And I would be writing my notes for what I'm going to say. And like, someone would tell me, I saw you preparing for that thing before you went out there and did it, and it was excellent. And I was like, thank God it was excellent, because it was last minute, right? Like, it could have been really bad, right? So it's really good that now you have something that can help you. So some of my talks I actually have used like AI to help accelerate that process. And it's just been helping me formulate some ideas that I might have and piece it together, and now it's even quicker. So that really helps, because it's not really that I'm not being creative. I'm not letting AI kind of take over the creative function. I'm still driving the creative function, but it's helping me to accelerate like how quickly I will get something together. And in some cases, it can be very creative for me. So it hasn't stifled. It's really helped. And then image generation is another place where it has really helped. Actually, let me show you one thing. So I did a keynote. Which is a sequel to the keynote you all saw yesterday, actually. So I have a sequel to what you saw yesterday. And part of it, don't be traumatized, but I'm warning you. So, in part of the keynote that I did, and then we'll get back to the core topic, it tells the story of Pinocchio. And there's actually the story of Pinocchio that we all know, that we've watched, right? And it seems very Disney and very nice and happy. But the actual original story of Pinocchio, which my keynote actually has a very impact on, Pinocchio is actually terrible. And actually when Pinocchio meets Jiminy Cricket, Pinocchio is very disobedient, and Jiminy Cricket was trying to tell him to go a better path, and he ends up like throwing a hammer at Jiminy Cricket and killing the cricket, right? Now, when I'm telling a story, I normally use visuals to tell a story. There's no way I was ever going to find an image like this to help tell this story without using prompt engineering. So I use prompt engineering to help get me almost every image in this keynote. It was all crafted by generative AI. Right? Every single one, even the cover of the dark version of the movie. Right? So it all depends on how you use it, right? You don't have to try to stifle your creativity. You can actually use it to help bring your creativity to life. The only other way I'd be able to do this is if I had like access to a number of very custom artists to build this stuff, and it would cost me a ton of money. And instead I could do it really quickly using Gen AI and using prompts. Alright, so hopefully that helps. That's it. That means everyone else, only y'all two are not using it. So everyone else I can call on. Very smart. Like these are some of the smartest people in the room, and you don't even realize, right? But I do have a question for you later on, right? Alright, so let's go here. Let me see. Right here. You are the heroine of this whole story. How are you using it? We'll start with you.
Yeah, I used when my family members were coming from my hometown for a visit in KL and Singapore. I just want to prepare an itinerary for them, like their travel plans. So it was like I didn't find. Usually I do it manually, but this time I didn't get time. So I just gave all the prompts of which are the days, what are the time, where they have to visit, all those, and then give it to ChatGPT. It's a magic. I didn't
see how
have to
happy
think
you are.
about. When I got the result, I didn't have to think about okay, how should I plan, which time, what.
But did you validate it? At least to make sure they weren't sending them to another part of your country that they shouldn't go to? No, it was okay?
That was okay. And the second time is like when we had a performance in a company annual dinner. Actually, we were representing, we were showing performance of like different countries. So we just have to put up a backdrop for different countries. So became prompt, and the image it generated was really awesome. That it like when it got displayed on the screen, it was very nice.
Awesome. Cool. All right. Anyone else? Very great examples. Thank you for saving us again. See, 2 times more. My friend here, how do you use it?
For my case, I use for router.
Okay.
So normally when I reply the email, I don't know, and sometimes when I see the email, I might be emotional. Right? So I just ask them to read and content. Right? So normally what I would do is that I get the email, sample of reading and content, then I just review and send out without any emotional involved.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the way that I reply the email.
Yeah.
Use the subject. Because if let's say I reply the email, I might be have the emotional elements to be bring into the email. Right.
Yeah, partly you sent, are these angry emotions or happy emotions or when you try? No, I'm just kidding, right? No. Actually using it for email and communication, a lot of people use it this way. Some people don't like to share, like if, but there's no, I think technology should help us in our lives, and there's different areas of our lives, and everyone is at a different level on different things. I never heard your use case with the emotion, but you seem like me and you should be friends and not enemies, right? But in general, people use it to help improve their language and their communication all the time. This is a very good day-to-day use case. Anything else? Anyone else want to share? Thank you for that. Yes.
I wanted to share how my daughter uses it.
Okay.
She's a 4-year-old kid who doesn't know how to read,
Oh, wow.
and yet, of course, but for her to be able to watch her favorite shows on YouTube or anywhere online, she uses Siri.
Just to voice communicate.
It is teach her that.
Yeah.
So I was shocked.
Yeah, you don't need to teach these kids anything these days. So my daughter also, one of my daughters. So I have, my 2 daughters are very different. One is 11, the other one is 6. The 11-year-old asks for permission for everything. She's very rules-driven and rules-based. She'll always ask that, like, if you walk into a room, like here, there's all this food like spread out. Maybe there's a whole bunch of desserts. She'll look and say, Daddy, can I have a dessert? Meanwhile, as she's asking me if she can have a dessert, the 6-year-old already has a dessert in her hand and is already starting to eat the dessert, right? So this is the element of the dynamic that I have, right, with these 2 kids. But also, that little one is the one who, when it comes to the technology, she is all over it just right away in there, asking to do this and do that. And when I realized that it was really a strong force, was one day we were packing up to go on vacation, and she asked me, Daddy, can we take Alexa with us on vacation? And I was like, what? Yeah, can we take Alexa? So we packed up Alexa and took her on vacation with us, and then we had Alexa with us on vacation quite a bit for many vacations. Luckily, I don't have to pay extra airfare to take Alexa with me, but this is kind of the current moment. Alright, so we have AI in our lives, and actually we're interacting with it a lot. And before we kind of get into prompt engineering, I want to set the stage on just how we're leveraging AI for our productivity, and then we'll talk specifically about software productivity. In the last course, we talked a little bit about what is AI and machine learning, and it's important for us to start there always. AI is this general umbrella, right? Broad field of computer science where we're looking at how can we get machines to reason like human beings and to learn, right? Take over some of those cognitive functions, right? And then there's the idea of machine learning, which is how we actually program these machines, one particular programming model, where we're trying to program the machine without giving it explicit instructions. So we're showing it examples, data examples, and it's inferring what it needs to do from those examples, right? And so there's different types of machine learning. We're going to talk specifically about Gen AI. But one particular type of machine learning is deep learning, where we're talking about neural network models, which is really mimicking how the human brain functions. We have a whole bunch of biological neurons fire, they take inputs and produce outputs. In an artificial neural network, we have a similar situation, but we have these artificial neurons taking inputs and different weights, and then processing some activation function and producing output. And in this situation, with deep learning, we're talking about these very large neural networks that have many, many layers in between, so many neurons firing. And the cool thing about this is that now that we have large-scale computation, and now that there's data everywhere, we can really take advantage of this type of model, right? Because before we couldn't process this very efficiently, and now we can. There's still some challenges, and actually up until recently, when we had the kind of advances in what we'll talk about when we talk about LLM, which is the transformer architecture, to do this type of processing and deep learning processing for natural language, right, was very, very inefficient still, right? But that leads us into generative AI, right? So generative AI, now when we start talking about generative models, and we start either talking about two types of models, either generative adversarial networks, right, or generative pre-trained transformers. These are all generative models. And these are usually neural network models that are being used for the purpose of generating content. That's like text, images, etc. Videos, you name it, we can do it with AI these days. And then within there is the idea of large language models. So large language models are specific implementation, and generally we're talking about textual language understanding and generation, right? So I want to understand, and make sure you understand and put it in perspective, that when we talk about generative AI, so what's happening these days, and the reason that you see this diagram, which is a variation of like a very much smaller diagram that usually just has these three things, top three, is because when people talk about AI these days, normally they're sometimes talking about large language models. And that's AI to them, right? Because the first thing that they got in their hands that they could believe was AI was ChatGPT, right? However, AI is much broader than generative AI, right? And even generative AI is broader than large language models, right? And so it's important for you to position that in this way, and then understand that if you weren't confused by these bubbles, that there's actually another bubble that will make you even more confused, because data science is not always AI, right? And so a lot of these intersections are at play, but nonetheless my goal is not to confuse you, but actually just to position this in your mind that when we're starting to talk about prompt engineering, we're actually talking about how we interact with these large language models, right? But just know that there's a lot more in the whole spectrum that is there to explore. All right, so that being said, a lot of this excitement around this in the software world is people kind of trying to think about how we can leverage AI to increase our productivity, right? You heard some examples already where like, hey, you know what? I didn't have time to do this, or I didn't want to do this, or like, yeah, it just did it for me faster, right? And so, boom, I used it.